her physician called me one night out of the clear blue, and he wanted to let me know how sorry he was. And I asked him, we had just had physicals. How could this have happened? And he said that, when they run blood tests for physicals, they don't do a full blood panel. They're just looking for cholesterol and other things. And he said, Gary, said the one hardest part about being a physician is that sometimes people just don't get well. There was a sense of sadness and compassion in his voice that has stuck with me from that day on. There were nurses that were very helpful, that were people that were willing to bend the rules in order to make sure that myself and my wife and eventually my children were comfortable with what was going on. And there were others that were so stuck in the process and procedure and were so clinical that the human side of it was lost entirely. When we finally knew that my wife was septic and that there was no way that they could treat the cancer because they had to treat the sepsis, the doctor came to me and said there may be a way to get that last bacteria, but it's a pill that'll cost $1,900. And I went crazy because, how do you talk to somebody about money at a time when you're trying to save somebody's life? The money was unimportant. And I understand that in a hospital setting, there's different socioeconomic needs. There's different understandings of, the communication issues relative to language differences and everything else. But at the same time, it was, my wife, our life, and you're trying to relegate it to a business decision. And for me, that was the raw. And I don't have an answer as to how else it could have been approached. Mm-hmm. But, at the end of the day, it's like solve the problem and then talk to me about how I'm going to fund the problem. Don't tell me that we can maybe help your wife extend her life, but it's going to cost you. It just seemed very cold mm-hmm. and upsetting at that particular time. But I believe that the hospital accelerated her passing by basically wearing her out. It was like she would complain that she couldn't get any sleep because they'd wake her up every 2 hours to take her vitals, or give her medication or something else, when all she really wanted was to be able to sleep. And I believe that sleep is rehabilitative to a certain extent, and that while it wasn't going to save her life, it was going to at least give her a little more strength to fight for the period of time that we had left together. And finally, when it was getting towards the end, one evening, one of the nurses came in, and I asked her, I said, is there any way that you can go ahead and just let my wife sleep through the evening? As the other nurses that we had talked to had said, no, we can't do that. We have orders from the doctor. These are things that have to happen. This one nurse said, I can withhold her medicine and everything and let her sleep and give it to her first thing in the morning. And I was so appreciative of the fact that somebody was willing to adjust and walk outside the guidelines in order to make my wife a little more comfortable for that one evening.